All right, so this next book is called Algeria, The Topography and History, Political, Social, and Natural of French Africa by John Reynell Morell, published in 1854. We're on page 335. You can see up here at the top. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to go to the footnotes right here. It says Baron Baud, Volume 3. History has recorded the date and cause of the Israelitish immigration into West Africa after the destruction of Jerusalem. Okay, so this author in these books, I don't have time to go and show the biography for each author, but I think I've only included sources from 2 black men, if I'm not mistaken. But these are the other 3 books that we just read from. And this one, they were BHI did not write these books. All right, these were white men of European descent, and BHI definitely did not write the French books that we're going to get into at the end. All right, so this is a scholar from the mid 19th century writing that history has recorded the date and cause of the Israelitish immigration into West Africa after the destruction of Jerusalem. And next, we're going to take a quick look at the Jewish Virtual Library website, since what we read in another book might come as a shock or surprise to certain people. And they're like, oh, no, I don't believe it. They couldn't have migrated to West Africa. Let's check and see what the Jewish Virtual Library website says. This is a Jewish source put together by Jewish historians. Oh, and the title of this webpage is Nigeria Virtual Jewish History Tour. JewishVirtualLibrary.org. All right. We're going to jump to right here where it says persecution. Persecution and trade have been the major influencing factors in how the Jews migrated through Africa. So they migrated through Africa. Of course, they have to migrate through Africa to get to West Africa from the Middle East. So although the focus of this presentation is Jews in the Kingdom of Judah on the slave coast of West Africa, of course, there's going to be Jews scattered throughout Africa as well. During periods of Islamic persecution and for the purposes of trade, Jews moved from communities in Egypt, Ethiopia, Tunisia, and Morocco to more remote regions of North and West Africa. Trade routes to West Africa may have been established as early as the period in which David ruled Israel, and the term Tarshish, found in the Tanakh, which is the Hebrew Bible, may refer to the Ivory Coast of West Africa. One last part of this page that I want to read right here. The decline of Jewish communities of West Africa can be traced to the arrival of Muslim invaders in the 14th and 15th centuries. North and West African Jews banded with other local communities of Berbers, Christians, and Greeks to ward off the invaders, but eventually succumbed. Many were forced to convert to Islam, sold into slavery, or simply massacred. In the face of this persecution, written traditions such as the Torah were lost. So this little bit right here is important because it explains that Jews in West Africa, when they were conquered by the Muslims, their Torahs, written records, all that. We're going to read in the next source, or one of the next 2 sources, how all their books and all their writings were destroyed and burnt by the Muslim invaders. So that's important for the people who like to say that black Jews must be converts because they don't have any of the tradition or, any of that stuff. This explains why. They had all that stuff and it was destroyed by Muslim invaders. The next book we're going to jump into, it's called Anacalypsis, an attempt to draw aside the veil of the Saitic Isis by Godfrey Higgins. This is volume 1. Make sure if you go look up these books on your own, make sure that if it says the volume, make sure you type in that volume, or you're going to be looking for the information in the wrong book. It'll be the same title, but it'll be the wrong volume, and you're just going to be looking in there stressing yourself out. That's something else important I forgot to mention. So Godfrey Higgins wrote this book in 1836. We were still slaves. It's Juneteenth right now as I'm recording this. So, I'm in that, I don't celebrate Juneteenth or nothing like that. I'm just saying, it all all those thoughts are just coming in my head. Like, we couldn't read and all this. And as you get into the truth, you start finding information like this. It all makes sense. Why we couldn't read, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. They really didn't want us reading. But stuff like this is why. Pay attention to the dates that these books were written in. Keep in mind how all the old books, they acknowledge the fact that Jews are black, the migration into West Africa, where we were taken from, where our ancestors were taken from. But in the books that are dated after our release from slavery, and even in the current century, books made in the 2000s and all that, they try to make it seem like, oh, black Jews, converts, or some other excuse. It's like it doesn't match up with the old books at all. So keep that in mind. It actually lines up with the Bible, how the Bible said we would be conspired against as a nation. I guess they must have thought that we would never get out of slavery. They thought they were going to have us as slaves forever and that we'd never be able to read. But, things didn't turn out that way. And now we have the power, the technology to look into these old books and to see what was going on. And it does not match up with the current narratives. But anyways, Anacalypsis, an attempt to draw aside the veil of the Saitic Isis, Volume 1 by Godfrey Higgins, published in 1836. We're going to be on page 603. I know it looks a little weird right here, but that is 603. Right here it says 602. So we're on page 603. I'm going to zoom in a second. Let me find the spot that I want to start reading at, the last paragraph. The tribe of Judah was not stopped in its migration westward by the sea. It was talking about the tribe of Judah. Or perhaps, when it was driven out from Egypt, part of it moved to the west along the coast of the Mediterranean till it got round to Guinea. Now, if you remember at the beginning of this presentation, or if you don't remember, you can wait till it's over and you can go back and rewind. But we were looking at how the kingdom of Judah in West Africa was in Guinea. I actually have it pulled up still. Which tab is it? This is the map from the Black History in the Bible website. You can see all this is Guinea. And today, Guinea is not this big. Guinea was big like this back when these books were written. The territory of Guinea expanded and encompassed all of this right here. So where was Judah at? Right here. Judah. Kingdom of Judah on the slave coast. So as we get back into this book, let me start again right here at the top of the first paragraph so we can fully absorb what this writer is saying. The tribe of Judah was not stopped in its migration westward by the sea, or perhaps when it was driven out from Egypt. Part of it moved to the west along the coast of the Mediterranean till it got round to Guinea. And as we just saw, the West African kingdom of Judah is right in Guinea. And as I already pointed out, if you look at a map today, Guinea isn't as big as it was on these older maps. So if you're looking at a current map, Guinea is a little small territory in Africa. But anyways, he says, and there it is yet in Guinea. And this book was written in mid 1800s, I believe it was. You can go back and look on your own. But he's saying, and there it is yet, with its native curly head, possessing a beautiful country full of fine rivers, among which are found a river Frat and a Jachin. It will be very curious to examine the language of this people. Adrisi, we're going to be hearing a lot about Adrisi. I believe he was an explorer from the 12th century. I'm not too familiar with him off the top of my head, although I should be. But I do know his name pops up a lot when you read information about Jews in West Africa. But for now, let's just keep reading. We're going to see his name again. It says, Adrisi in the 12th century says that Jews occupied the country on the river Lamlim and that it is called Yahandi. This is confirmed by Mr. Baudrand in his account of the Ashanti country. Everything proves that they were of the tribe of Judah, though, as they have no Pentateuch. The Pentateuch is the Torah. As they have no Pentateuch, it is clear that they came not from the tribe of the Western Asiatic Judea, or at least that they did not immigrate from it after the time of Moses. So he's saying that because they have no Pentateuch or Torah, that leads him to believe that they may not have been He's saying that they're the tribe of Judah, but when he tries to pinpoint exactly which migration they were of the tribe of Judah, he starts assuming things because they have no Torah. So that makes him start to, question which particular migration they were. He's not saying they weren't the tribe of Judah because they didn't have a Torah. He's just saying that since they didn't have a Pentateuch or Torah, they must not have immigrated from after the time of Moses. But he's still saying that they're the tribe of Judah. He says everything proves that they were of the tribe of Judah. All right. Now, this next book that we're going to get into explains why they did not have a Torah. We already read from the virtual Jewish website that their books and their records were destroyed when they were invaded by Muslims. So this is going to give more context. This is Atlas Geographus, or a complete system of geography, ancient and modern, published in 1714. We're going to be on page 39. It says right here at the top. And we're going to start right here. It says, so much for the whites. So much for the whites. So he's letting you know that he's done talking about white people. He must have been talking about white people up here. He's saying, so much for the whites. We shall treat of the blacks when we come to Guinea, Negroland, and the Cape of Good Hope, where they inhabit. Guinea and Negroland. Guinea's in West Africa. We just looked twice at where Guinea was and how the tribe of Judah migrated there and how it's in West Africa. Negroland, when you look at the old maps, Negroland is right above Guinea. So that's West Africa. The Cape of Good Hope, I believe, is somewhere in South Africa. But he's saying we shall treat of the blacks when we come to Guinea, Negroland, and the Cape of Good Hope, where they inhabit. So much for the whites. He's going to talk about the blacks now. Leo says there are other kingdoms on the southern frontiers of this country which are inhabited by a rich, industrious, and just sort of people. Judaism was the religion of the ancient Africans for a long time and succeeded by Christianity. So he's saying before Christianity, Judaism was the religion of ancient so-called Africans. And we know he's talking about West Africa particularly, because he says Guinea and Negroland right here. Judaism was the religion of the ancient Africans for a long time and succeeded by Christianity. But Mohammedanism, which is Islam, Muslims, but Mohammedanism prevailed in the 208th year of the Hijra, when all the Jews, Christians, and professors of the African religion that could be found were put to death. Yet in process of time, their intestine quarrels made them neglect Muhammad's law and revolt from the Caliph of Baghdad, for which they were severely punished by the Mohammedan caliphs, who caused all their books to be burnt, on suspicion that the knowledge of the arts and sciences prompted them to condemn Muhammad's law. So it's basically saying that the Jews, Christians, and professors of the African religion, all their books were burnt by the Muslims because they didn't want them to be influenced by anything other than Islam. So back in this source, it says the tribe of Judah didn't have a Pentateuch. That's why. So even though he's not really saying anything negative here, after he puts that they have no Pentateuch, we can just disregard that because we know why they didn't have a Pentateuch or Torah. There's two sources already that we just read that explain that Islam, when it came to West Africa, they burned all the books and records and everything because they didn't want them to be focused on anything other than Islam. And very quickly, I'm going to show a 1729 map of Negroland. This is the Negroland map I'm sure you're all familiar with. There should be. It says a 1729 map titled Negroland and Guinea. This is Negroland up here. This is Guinea right here. As you can see, as I've been saying, Guinea was a lot larger. And here's the slave coast. This is where Judah was. So the book we just finished reading, it says, we shall treat of the blacks when we come to Guinea, Negroland. And here we see Guinea and Negroland. He's saying there were Jews there, and their books and records got burnt by the conquering Muslims. And that's why the tribe of Judah in West Africa did not have a Torah. or Pentateuch. Let's get into this next book. The Nautical Magazine and Naval Chronicle, published in 1870. We're going to be on page 581. Right here at the top says 581. I'm going to start about halfway down where it says Judaism. Judaism in northern and southern Guinea. We're talking about Guinea again. And we saw how big Guinea was during these older time periods. And we saw how the kingdom of Judah was in Guinea. The tribe of Judah was said to have migrated to Guinea. And we read at the beginning how it was recorded that ancient Jews were black. Okay? So this is all just corroborating information that the people in West Africa were actual Jews. Judaism in northern and southern Guinea. We have already mentioned the existence of Jewish practices in Western Africa. Circumcision prevails in both North and South Guinea, but whether it is of Egyptian or Jewish origin is impossible to say. It may have been impossible for him to say, but now that we have the technology to look back and put all these sources together, we can see why, and we can see how, and we can see what the reason was for all of this Jewish culture in West Africa. These people were Jews. They were descendants of ancient Jews who migrated there. Some traces of the Jewish religion are more fully developed in the northern and others in the southern region. The division of tribes into 12 families, as among the Grebos, the division of time into 7 days, and the observance of lucky and unlucky days, as among the Fantis and Ashantis, the observance of new moons, the offering of bloody sacrifices, and the sprinkling of blood upon their doorposts and altars. In having a house of refuge to which an offender may fly. All of this can be read in the Bible. These are all customs and practices of the ancient Israelites. The one that sticks out to me most was, I can't remember where exactly it is in the Bible. I know it's in the Torah, but when where it says right here, in having a house of refuge to which an offender may fly, that's in the Torah. That was an ancient Israelite custom, where it talks about the safe city for an offender. If you, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember off the top of my head, where if you accidentally kill someone or something like that, you flee to a different city to where their family can't get you and get revenge on you. All this is Israelite customs. It says new moon, offering of bloody sacrifices. But let's continue. In having a house of refuge to which an offender may fly, and the security of falling upon the altar, and in having a distinct priesthood, are practices that are more fully developed in northern than in southern Guinea. So he's listing all these practices of the people that inhabit Guinea. And like I've said, we've already read how the tribe of Judah migrated to Guinea. The kingdom of Judah that we're reading about, that this presentation is based on in West Africa, was in Guinea. On the other hand, we have in southern Guinea, demoniacal possessions, prescribed forms and times for mourning for the dead, rules pertaining to cleanliness, purifications, and various other things of a similar character, more or less clearly developed. In both cases, these are things attended to without any clear idea of their import. If asked what they mean or why they observed, the answer is generally that our fathers did it. So their fathers did all these things. These customs were passed down to them. They were Jews. Now something just crossed my mind. I want to jump back to this source for a second where it talks about the tribe of Judah migrating to West Africa, to Guinea. It says the tribe of Judah was not stopped in its migration westward by the sea, or perhaps when it was driven out from Egypt. Part of it moved to the west and along the coast of the Mediterranean till it got round to Guinea. And there it is yet, with its native curly head. That's something I forgot to expound upon when we read this a little while ago. He's obviously not saying that these were white people that migrated to Guinea. He's saying, there it is yet. There the tribe of Judah is yet, with its native curly head. Native curly head is something I wanted to point out. And that also reminds me, actually, forgot to point this out. The book that we just read this in, about the tribe of Judah migrating westward, by Godfrey Higgins, Anacalypsis. Look what it says. The book is about the black race. So we know for a fact he's talking about the tribe of Judah being black people who migrated to Guinea. But I'm sure, rational-minded people were already able to come to the conclusion that it was talking about black people to begin with.